public libraries. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce you to picture books that are written by African American authors. Books leave a mark on children's lives, and it's important that children see themselves as well as others in books that they read. Picture books can provide positive images for children, they can foster curiosity, they can help children to develop empathy, and lead them to understand others. Books are like a mirror into a child's life. Reading can give parents a chance to connect with their children and to learn to share with their children. So let's get started with some picture books by African American authors. The first one I'd like to introduce is called Lullaby for a Black Mother by Langston Hughes and illustrated by Sean Quarles. Now, Langston Hughes is a famous African American poet, and this is one of his poems that they've made into a picture book. Sean Quarles, he did the illustrations. This book is all about love between a mother and her baby. It's a good first book for a mother to read to their children, and the artwork in it is very, very nice, and it shows a lot of loving, tender moments between a mother and a baby. It's called Lullaby by Langston Hughes. What about a little hair love? You've probably seen this on the news or on television. This particular book, there was a short film written and directed by the author. His name is Matthew Cherry. Now, Matthew Cherry wrote the book, and Vashti Harrison, she did the pictures. He won an Academy Award for this book, for that short film. And it's all about this little beautiful girl that bounces out of bed. She wants to get her hair fixed before her mother comes home. She does everything that she can, and it just doesn't turn out right. So she has to get her father to come in and help her out. And he's at a loss for a minute. But because of fatherly love, he was able to get that hair fixed and ready for when her mother came home. It's called Hair Love, and it was written by Matthew Cherry and illustrated by Vashti Harrison. Sulwe. You'll recognize this particular author, Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita is an actress. She was a model, and now she's a children's book author. Sulwe was born with really dark skin. Her skin was darker than her mom's and her sister, her dad's, and she didn't like the way that she looked. She was being picked on at school. She prayed that she could change that skin color, but there was nothing she could do. Her mom talked to her about it, and she told her Sulwe means stars. And that night, Sulwe dreamed about being in the stars. She dreamed about daylight and darkness. And she woke up the next morning, and she had a whole new confidence because she'd learned that where there's light, there has to be dark. And she was okay with being who she was. Sulwe by Lupita Nyong'o. It's a very pretty book, and this one was illustrated by Vashti Harrison too. Another book about hair. It's called Crown, an Ode to the Fresh Cut. And there he is, coming from the barbershop with a fresh cut. If you ever gone into a barbershop and saw all of the boys and men getting their hair cut, if you haven't had that experience, this book will give you that experience. It's by Derek Barnes and illustrated by Gordon C. James. This boy goes into a barbershop to get his hair cut. And he's looking around at all of the guys that are in the barbershop with all of the different hairstyles that they're getting. There's a faux hawk. There's a fade. They all look so fresh and so clean. He was imagining what each of those men would be in that barbershop. When the barber was all finished with him, he left out with a newfound courage and confidence in who he was, because there's nothing like having that fresh haircut. This book won many awards. It won the Coretta Scott King Award honor. It won the Caldecott honor, the Newbery honor. These are all great honors for children's books writers, and he won them all in 1 year. This is called Crown, an Ode to the Fresh Cut by Derek Barnes and illustrated by Gordon C. James. Look at that fresh cut. I love it. Okay, the next one I have here is A Day You Began. The Day You Began. Beautiful girl on the front. Written by Jacqueline Woodson. Illustrated by Rafael Lopez. Jacqueline Woodson is a wonderful children's book writer. She's written picture books, intermediate books, young adult books. She's written them all. And she's quite good at it. She's won several awards for the work that she does. The Day You Began is about finding courage to connect. Have you ever been the only one in the room that looked like you? You felt different than everybody else in the room? You felt set aside? I think everybody's had that feeling from one time or another. This little girl had that feeling. But there are all kinds of reasons, reasons where you think that you're not like someone else. It could be the way you wear your hair, or it could be the way you talk, or it could be the foods that you eat. You feel set aside. But sometimes you just have to press on and press your way and know with confidence and courage that it's okay to be whoever you are. And in this book, this girl found that confidence and that courage. And she made friends and she wasn't alone. The Day You Began by Jacqueline Woodson. Ooh, first day of school for a kindergartner. The King of Kindergarten. Vanessa Brantley Newton did the illustrations on this book, and Derek Barnes, he did the story. It's all about that first day of kindergarten. You're so excited. You jump up, you get your clothes on, you eat your breakfast, jump on the bus, and you go to school for the first day of school. You're so excited to go in and meet your teacher. Whoa. Get all the new rules for school, meet new friends. That's fun. Going to the playground, awesome. Eating lunch, and then you get to go home. Well, when he went home, he was so excited to tell his parents that he was the king of kindergarten. He loved kindergarten. This is a great book for a child just entering school, or to remind a child about how wonderful it is to have a first day of school. The King of Kindergarten by Derek Barnes. The next one I have here is called Thank You Omu. Thank You Omu. I like this one. It's by Oge Mora. She wrote this book so that we can enjoy it. Omu was cooking a red stew, and you could smell that red stew all over the community. As that smell was wafting out, all of a sudden she heard a knock at the door. It was this little boy. He had come for a visit. She invited him to have some red stew, and of course he said, "Thank you, Omu." And then there was another knock. It was a police lady. She had come by just to say hello, and she invited her for a red stew. She said, "Thank you, Omu," and on and on and on. The knocks came to the door, until all of a sudden there was no red stew left for Omu. What happened? She'd given it all away. But she wasn't sad. It was okay. But then, all of a sudden, she heard a knock at the door. Lots of knocks. Who could it be? She didn't have any more red stew to give out. You know what? I'm going to let you read Thank You, Omu. And that way you'll find out who was knocking at her door. Thank you, Omu. Also, there are lots of nonfiction books that we have in the public library too that are written in picture book format. Picture books are a great way to start a child on a subject, and then you can move up to higher things as their level goes forward. There's one called Hidden Figures. It's about the women, the true story of 4 black women in the space race. There was a movie made about it, and now they have it in picture book format. It's nonfiction. It means that the book is true. But they can get that story from a picture book. There's also another one about Harriet Tubman, and it's called Before She Was Harriet. And this one was written by Lisa Klein Ransom, illustrated by James E. Ransom. In this book, it talks about all the other things that Harriet was. Before she was Harriet, she was Minty in Araminta. She was not only the conductor of the Underground Railroad, but she was a nurse for the Union. She was a spy for the Union Army, and she was a nurse. She did all sorts of things. But you can learn our great history with starting with picture books for children. This one is in the biography section. Another small set of books that we have at the library. This is called Dream Big Little One. And in this book, it's a baby book, they say, but it's a board book, a hardbound book. It's called Dream Big Little One by Vashti Harrison. And in this book, it gives little snippets of famous African American women. Um, in it, they have Oprah Winfrey, Mae Jemison, Katherine Johnson from the space program. So lots of little snippets to teach your child early about all the wonderful things that they could be, that they can dream to be one day. And this is not exactly a picture book. It's a nonfiction book, but it's a compilation of little legends, exceptional men in Black history. And there's a companion one about exceptional Black women in American history. And they're short chapters or short pages are on African Americans that's done exceptional things. I really like these little books, and they're also a good way to start your child on reading African American history. Those are the books that I have for you today. Of course, there are tons and tons of books that we have at the library. No exaggeration, we do have a wonderful collection of picture books. But I invite you to use our curbside service right now. You can call and they will and have your books put on hold on the computer, and they will bring them to your car using our curbside service. I think picture books is a good way to start your children, and it's a positive thing for you to do. So while you're at home or while you're doing school part time, you can pick a picture book and read something good to your child every day. You won't regret it. Thank you for listening.